everybody. We're practically ready to begin. We'd like to begin, so those of you at the door, at the entrance, either in or out. Good afternoon and welcome to the side event, the role of local government in leading processes to deal with climate change. I'm very happy to moderate this side event. My name is Orly Ronan. I'm the head of the Urban Innovation and Sustainability Lab at Tel Aviv University, and also as part of our collaboration, we're working closely with the city of Eilat, both on adaptation measures and mitigation measures. And this particular event is actually a collaboration between the city of Eilat, the southernmost city in Israel, and the Ministry of Regional Cooperation. We'd like to demonstrate in this side event how local governments are able to leverage climate policy, especially through collaboration and cooperation between different regional entities and different governments. The city of Eilat is actually closer, don't know if you know, but it's actually closer to Sharm el-Sheikh and Aqaba than it's close to Tel Aviv. So obviously, the regional aspect plays a huge role in Eilat's policies in general, and in particular in Eilat's climate policy. The session is actually divided into two parts. First, we'll present the two key climate projects of the region, the first focusing on adaptation and the second focusing on energy and mitigation. And then we'll have a Q&A session. But to begin in the beginning, I'd like to invite the two hosts of this session, Ms. Mona Mosalcha, the Director of Economic Analysis at the Ministry of Regional Cooperation, and afterwards, the Mayor of the City of Eilat. So, Ms. Mosalcha, please join me.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It is a great honor and a pleasure to be here among you today to discuss this important topic with you. On behalf of the Ministry of Regional Cooperation, I thank you all for your important efforts concerning climate change. Eilat's Mayor, Mr. Ali Lankari, Mr. Tariq Abu Hamid, Dr. Rina Kedem, and Mr. Asaf Admont. We appreciated your hard work. Tonight, I would like to address the issue of leadership. Leadership that guides the coping with climate change. As Maxwell says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. We at the Ministry of Regional Cooperation, headed by Minister Mr. Isawi Frege, strive diligently for building and encouraging cooperation relations with neighboring states in common grounds, one of the most important of which is the challenge of climate change. The existence of guiding leadership in local authorities and the civil society a leadership that acknowledges the mere fact of the severe crisis and the need to take immediate steps for coping with its dangers has been the main drive for our ministry in implementing field actions. We supported and financed a wide range of activities through cooperation with neighboring states, and we're glad to find a real accountable leadership in our side. Climate change is a cross-border crisis, not just another future event ruling from one generation to the other, but an ongoing reality that endangers human existence. This is the time to unite, to think differently, as one region with the same fate. There is no doubt that the local authority plays an important, even central role in climate change issue. Whether it is the investment in environmental education, creating environment, supporting urban space, the use of the renewable energy, dealing with all kinds of waste and its recycling, encouraging green business activity, and a lot more. Eilat municipality, headed by Mr. Ali Lankari, had showed an extraordinary leadership, and its activities and is an appropriated role model for other local authorities, as well as for neighboring states' municipalities. We thank our partners from the regional states, committed them on their real cross-border leadership. I hope these coordinated projects grow and succeed. Let us all be leaders, and I thank you again, and special thanks for Mr. Issao Frege for leading our ministry towards excellence. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And on this note and this wonderful introduction, I don't think I need to elaborate. So I'm very happy to invite Mr. Eli Lankri, the mayor of the city of Eilat, to open this session.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mona, for the compliments to the city of Eilat. Thank you for attending and for joining us here in our pavilion. Special welcome to our respected colleagues from Aqaba. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. Thanks to the Ministry of Regional Cooperation, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Energy. You know, this is amazing. We drove 3 hours to Sharm el-Sheikh, but we could have taken a boat because we share the Red Sea with Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. Now we are working together as equals and trying to solve some of the world's challenges. One of them is to protect the Red Sea. And thanks to the Abraham Accords and our peace treaties with both Jordan and Egypt, we are among friends. The region has changed. It has changed because now we are collaborating, now we are sharing, and now we are working together. The economic peace and cooperation will eventually spread to the entire region because our future depends on it. There is no turning back. We have many common problems and challenges. The future of the planet is collaboration. And today, you will hear about two practical examples demonstrating this commitment to regional cooperation. Eilat and the Lot region are leading the way in Israel. We are leading in sustainability, we are leading in climate change, and we are leading in clear energy. In my own home, I do not pay for electricity. In fact, the Israel Electric Company pays me. I have installed solar panels on my roof and am off the grid. I export my extra electricity. We have made it easy for all residents of Eilat with rooftops to finance, install, and operate their own solar panels and achieve energy self-sufficiency. Together with our neighbors and friends from Eilat, and where is Dorit? Thank you very much. And of course, Hanan, thank you, my friend and my colleague. 100% of Eilat's daytime electricity is from the sun. 100% of the daytime electricity, schools, offices, malls, and hotels is from the sun. Within 3 years, by 2025, all of Eilat energy needs, daytime and nighttime, will be met by solar power. We will be the first city in Israel to be off the grid. I am proud that we are also the first city in Israel to make it illegal to use plastic utensils to the beach. We are also the most serious in enforcing this. And where is Shmulik? Thank you, Shmulik. Shmulik is here with us. Thank you very much for your efforts. Eilat is also leading the way in education. It is part of the learning program in all schools. Climate and environment awareness are important, and they learn about conservation as well. It makes a difference in the long run. Eilat hosts 3 million tourists a year. We are a city with 2 international ports, air and sea. We are a bridge to countries and continents. Now, we are leveraging our location, and we are leveraging our Israeli startup mentality to develop and export innovation, energy, and food technology. Sustainability is something we can all share. Eilat as a city is flexible and can adapt easier than the larger cities in Israel. And our national government, like most of others, are just too slow. While they are debating, we are implementing. Under my leadership, Eilat has the authority, Eilat has the responsibility, and Eilat has the commitment to make the right changes for energy, self-sufficiency, food and water security, sustainability, and environmental protection in both our Arava Desert and the Gulf of Eilat. Integration is critical to success. Integration between local and national government, integration between sectors, integration between disciplines, integration between land and water. And one of the main reasons we are here, integration between nations. Innovation is what keeps us moving forward. Smart cities and transportation mobility using renewable energy with zero emissions is the direction Eilat is headed towards. And we will get there. A cleaner, brighter, and more sustainable future. We are working closely with the European Union and are leading on this issue in Israel. What starts in Eilat will be replicated in other cities in Israel. Our strong connection with the EU is very important. Eilat was selected by the European Union one of 112 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030. 100 EU cities and 12 connected to the EU by Horizon Europe. We were the only Israeli city selected, and we are very proud of this achievement. We are working on 12 different projects with the European Union. There are a few that I would like to share. One, we committed to the EU to be a climate-neutral smart city that is completely energy independent by 2030. We will get there before. Project Zero, this project develops water maintenance, management, and treatment technologies. Berlin project, building a self-sustaining energy system for schools so that all electricity in schools in renewable energy, renewable and solar generated. We are working in hospitals as well. Leonardo, Project Leonardo, this is a unique project for implementing a micro-transportation system. This is an EU pilot program, and so far, Eilat and Rome are the only two cities selected. By the way, if I can just mention, you can fly from Eilat directly to Rome by Wizz Air, if you like. Procure project. This program helps renovate all buildings, both inside and outside. Various components are upgraded, including windows, lighting, cooling and heating systems, and materials. We are working with the EU on developing our Municipal Innovation Center, which will bring us closer to sustainability. I would like to end on a personal note. This is a great honor for me to be here in this beautiful place. I am not only representing Eilat City, I am representing my country, Israel. I am proud to be here. I am proud of the work we are doing on this important issue that affects the entire region. Every mayor wants to have a legacy in the city he serves. For me, moving Eilat towards total energy independence, developing food from the desert and the sea, reducing and recycling, and making Eilat the most sustainable city in Israel is the most significant contribution I can make. The climate is something that affects us all. The climate is something we can collaborate on. Climate change is something we can fight together. I hope to continue my efforts in these areas, and that the next time we meet, we will all be sharing our success. Thank you. Shukran. Toda rabba.
Thank you very much. And also, again, welcome to our friends from Aqaba. And I think we all agree that this is a unique region. It's unique because its shared resources are renewable resources. Its main shared resource is the Red Sea. The Aqaba Eilat Bay was selected as one of the most beautiful bays in the world. And the second resource is the sun, also completely renewable as far as we know. So with these two huge assets at hand, it's critical for the region to develop a collaborative climate policy. And climate policies are twofold. On the one hand, they need to adapt to the current impacts. And on the other hand, they need to mitigate in the hope that we'll be able to reduce the impact of climate change. So I'd like to share with you two key projects that are already taking place in the region. The first is a project that is focused on the basin, on the coast, on the sea, and I'm happy to invite Dr. Rina Kedem, who's leading the Transboundary Environmental Cooperation at the Municipality of Eilat and the Regional Authority of Eilat, to present, yeah, you can clap. And she will present the ICZM plan for the region. The ICZM is Integrated Coastal Zone Management, bringing together the coast or the beach and the sea itself with all its hidden resources and treasures. And it has to be a collaborative effort, integrating the 2 or 4 countries, going from Saudi Arabia through Jordan, Israel, and Egypt. So with this in mind, Rina, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Oli. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us for this session. As you can imagine, this area is so full of potential and a lot of sensitivity, a lot of political sensitivity, and we are navigating to our best capacity to look for tangible results. And I'm really honored to have here our colleagues from Jordan, and I'm also happy to say that they are further ahead of us when it comes to ICZM. And we do hope to integrate our efforts and work together because we do share this prospect for the region. Okay, how do I move this? Okay. So when we're talking about ICZM, we're talking about sectorial collaboration, talking about local, regional, national, international authorities coming together to create a balance between development and conservation of the Gulf of Eilat and Aqaba. And why is this needed? It's pretty obvious, but I will go through a little bit of background and then share what does this actually mean, what is ICZM, and why do we think it's a good practice, meaning why does the municipality of Eilat think this is a good framework to suggest, both for the local and regional level? And of course, why should it be done in a transboundary manner? So, like Oli just shared, we have the local stress factors on the Gulf of Aqaba, which are plenty, and we have the global impact. And what we can do at the moment, or the ICZM, is targeting at adapting to those global changes by targeting the local pressures and mediating those and improving those, because unfortunately there are many. And the ICZM framework is one of the most holistic frameworks, we'll get to that in a moment, existing, that can bring all of the key players together, including the different sectors and different fields. As you heard, there are also, you'll hear after from Asaf Admon, there are complementing projects working on the mitigation. But the bottom line is the decision of the municipality to be proactive and take a leading role in climate change. And this is why we are here today, because we see, or the way I both study as a researcher and I don't know how to make this thing work. Okay. Both as a researcher and, sorry, I like moving, but the mic is here, but you can hear me without the mic, I'm sure. The municipalities play a key role in change, because we all know that sustainability and working with climate change has to be a bottom-up and a top-down level. Who's in that middle? The local authorities, municipalities, regional councils. Therefore, we are in the key bridge between the grassroots and the citizens and the top leadership. Therefore, what we do as a municipality or regional council is a key to be that leverage point when it comes to climate change and any environmental or sustainability action that is needed. This is a little bit of the scientific background studying our bay from the work of professors working with us, and you can see the global impact, the local impact, and we're right in the middle, or integrated coastal zone management is right in the middle. These are just a few of the local stressors. Of course, there are plenty more. And when we look at the fringing reefs that are characterizing our region, they are impacted directly by how we manage the coast and the marine environment. So we have to look at what happens at the coastal level and the marine level as one. We cannot, unfortunately, we cannot ignore the runoff that goes from the city directly to the bay, whether it's an overflow and floods of detergents, car cleanings, etc., people washing. We cannot, that's not a separate issue. It has to be looked at together. Whatever happens in the very fragile desert environment that is adjacent to the marine environment has a direct impact on the well-being of the coral reefs. So, thank you. Yay. Okay, much better. So why ICZM and why transboundary? We can move on. So ICZM is nothing new. Integrated Coastal Zone Management has been spoken about or even coined already in 1992 and was adopted as part of the Barcelona Convention a few years ago. Israel is signed on the Barcelona Convention. It is mandatory to have an ICZM plan for the Mediterranean, not yet for the Red Sea, or not yet with Israeli leadership, we will say. Closer. And we can see briefly that it brings together science, policy, the local communities, culture, environment, economic. Can you pass on? We want to stick to the time. I'm usually good at it. And why it's called ICZM is because integration is the key. We're talking about integration between sectors. So imagine all the stakeholders sitting at one table. Those who care about the development of the region, so the tourism, the industry, the economic developers, policymakers, the centers for IUI, for development of aquaculture, the environmental protection, and those of us are local, we know this is not an easy task. We are used to being either pro or against, and we don't know how to work together. With climate change, we don't have that privilege anymore, and this is what Integrated Coastal Zone Management brings to the table. How to work together, balancing conservation and development, knowing that this is the time, this is the now, and we know the how. I mean, we means the international umbrella of ICZM. Because part of what ICZM does the best is how to work with conflicts. We know that we're working with conflicting parties at the table. We know that people have different agendas. But if we don't bring them to one table, we're not going to solve anything. And I'm looking to my colleagues here who know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's really not a simple task, but I truly believe we can do it with the help of our local authorities in the leadership and a lot of our international support that we have. And of course, just between nations, especially when we share such a common pool resource like the Red Sea. So that is pretty obvious. And this is just an example of how it's a taste of what ICZM maps. So it maps a whole area, the leading from the coastline to the marine environment. This is actually from Spain, so this is for the Mediterranean. And it just shows you how much it can encompass in one framework. And again, what we're looking at is balancing. We're not ignoring that humans need to develop. We have to, we cannot deny that. But we are talking about balanced development. And we're talking about mapping the sensitivities, the ecological sensitivities, the environmental sensitivities in the marine environment and the desert, so we understand what is in stake. If somebody visited the Qatar booth, you can see an amazing map of ecological sensitivities for the marine environment and coastal ones. So they have a GIS map of all the different sectors, so I recommend to go and check it out. And what we're aiming at exactly. What we are hoping is to bring all the different stakeholders that I mentioned together, both on a local level and international level. And we're talking about both stakeholders, capacity building, actually learning what does it mean? What are the practices that are most relevant for each local authority in, inshallah, Egypt, Jordan, and Israel together working with these cities. And we're talking about the toolbox, which will give examples to what that means. And we see both local forums and transboundary forums, because of course, each country has its own policies. So we can work with the local policies and create transnational policies. And we're not the first ones to do that. The environmental cooperation movement around the world, adopted also by the UNEP, is humongous, meaning there's a whole school of thought, both academic and practical, supporting what we are trying to do, and it has been done before in Central, Southern Americas and other places around the world. To give a few more examples of what this means, the forums will function locally and in a cross-border manner, and we're talking constantly keeping the policy and science interface, meaning that the policies will be informed by the amazing science produced in Aqaba, produced in Eilat. We have leading marine science centers in the world sitting right in our cities. So in order for these policies to be viable, they need to be scientifically informed. And we're talking about integrating community innovation. To make this framework viable, it has to be relevant to our communities. If it is not part of their life, through innovation contests, through sustainability, it's not going to work. That's personally my opinion, and also from my personal research, and we have to do that as well. And we're talking about long-term process. This is not a process that's going to take a year or 2 years. We're talking about 3 years and more to see results and to move forward together. And just a few of the examples of what we would like to see. So imagine these local forums, a transboundary forum, and the transboundary forum chooses the projects together. So these are just a few. You see many in small writing, I apologize, but just to get a little taste of what we're talking about. So again, sensitivity maps. What are the most vulnerable places in the marine and desert environment that we need to prioritize? For example, what are the different toolboxes that we can produce to the different users of our systems, especially tourism, diving centers? There are many regulations, contests, things that we can apply also in an innovation way to include all of the different users and stakeholders of our bay. And we're talking about eventually cleanups, well, many other things that are quite obvious. Our next big, hopefully next big project would be a hackathon for the Gulf of Aqaba with all these questions. How do we reduce lighting, pollution, single plastic use? All of these topics we're dealing with them on a daily basis. But how can we bring the best minds together to solve these issues in a transboundary way through innovation and, as well as community leadership and policy. So we're not forgetting that policy has to be produced, it's part of ICZM, and it has to be produced as part of the process. And this will just be the end. So we're talking about studies and science and collecting the data we need in order to do what we're talking about. We're talking about the knowledge sharing platforms, open source science as an example already taking place in the Bay. And we're talking about training, capacity building, both for local leaders, communities, and the municipalities themselves. And to finalize that, we need an international umbrella to bring us together. We can each do this on our own, but there's something with the worldwide experience that has been collected, especially at the Mediterranean, which is the closest, but not only. We have an opportunity when it comes to ICZM. And I hope that we take it and we don't do it each city by ourselves, because as we said, we know we're already starting, but that this is an opportunity to both be viable internationally and lead a local example that we're looking to see with the balance of conservation and development. Thank you.
First of all, I admire your work, and you're really doing a wonderful work, and this platform is unbelievable. And we need it in the region, really need it. I saw all what you chose. You spoke about wonderful issues that we are tackling in the shore beaches and everything. There is one huge and a big problem they're tackling now. How it can go in your platform, both sides, Israel, Jordan, Egypt, everyone, and this is the Red Med project. How we can stop this? What is your way of dealing with that? Because it's nice to have tourism, and it's very nice to have map of sensitivity of the coral beaches. It's very nice, and it's important. But once this project will go on, it won't be anymore any sensitivities, areas, no negotiation about nothing, because we won't have our shores, no tourism, no nothing. And maybe this is the platform to do things, important things for our region. Thank you.
Doreen, what is the Red Med?
What?
People asking
What is the Red Med? The Red Med is an agreement that was signed by Abraham Accord between the Emirates and Israel with the Qatar company, it's the national oil company, to lead millions of tons of oil from the Emirates through the port of Eilat to the port of the Mediterranean in Ashkelon, and everything is to import oil to Europe. Nothing is for the energy needs of Israel. Thank you.
Or Jordan.
Or Jordan, by the way.
But just to be precise, this is actually not the Red Med. The Red Med is a different project. Just so we won't confuse people, the original Red Med project is taking what exactly. So.
Yes. Yeah. But we'll just give a one-sentence answer also in accordance to the mayor's policies as well, is that we are resisting that project. What? We are resisting that project, and the aspiration is that it won't happen.
And there's no doubt, although a moderator is completely neutral, but there is no doubt that this will definitely need regional collaboration. So possibly one of the working groups that Rina described can be dedicated to addressing challenges, regional challenges at all. But going back to, so first of all, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the questions. Thank you very much, Rina. And I think that Rina's presentation demonstrated how critical the region is and what is at stake. And the next project will demonstrate how the area can be a lighthouse, can really be a demonstration site for other municipalities, can be a game changer because the region has been able to identify and utilize a key resource, the sun. So I'd like to invite Asaf Admon, who's the head of the environmental unit of the city of Eilat and Eilat, to present the Zero Energy Project.
Thank you very much, Orly. Okay. I'm very happy to be here today and talk about this important topic. And I would also like to welcome our guests from Aqaba. This is, I'm very happy you're here and I appreciate it. So we are talking about Eilat, but you can see in this map how close Eilat and Aqaba are. Actually, if you look at this picture, one of the reasons sorry, can you take one back? One of the reasons I like this picture is because it shows Eilat and Aqaba almost as one. It's like a neighborhood of each other, and it's a picture that tells us why we are obliged to cooperate. So Eilat, as most of you know, is the most south city of Israel, and it's very distant from the rest of Israel, and it's a home for 68,000 residents, and it's a leading city of tourism in Israel. Since it was established, the picture on the top from 1963, Eilat has been rapidly developing. And this development brings to us a big challenge of how can we implement sustainable interests in the planning and in the developing of the city. And this is what it's all about. So we have a goal of 100% renewable energy day and night. At the moment, we are providing 100% or maybe a little bit more in the region of Eilat and Eilat in from renewable energy. But the goal is that we set was to get to 100% day and night, and this is a big challenge for us. One of the ways to address this challenge, we are working with the European Union, and I will elaborate about this in the next slides. But we are very happy to be the sole representative in this mission from Israel, in the EU mission for climate neutral and smart cities. This sets a goal for us, a goal to be climate neutral by 2030. It's an ambitious goal, and I'm so happy our mayor thinks and he believes we'll be there before. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to become a model city in Israel and maybe in the region. It's an opportunity to receive more fundings, national and international fundings, to achieve the goal, of course. It's an opportunity to get into the process more and more partners from the academy in Israel and from abroad. And we believe it's an opportunity to create a national snowball who will get more cities into this goal or into other goals of climate neutrality, and this can work very well for the state of Israel. We have done a lot of things since we started dealing with energy. Starting in the beginning of the last decade, maybe 2010, 12, we had a deputy mayor's energy efficiency team, which was led by the deputy mayor back then, which is our mayor today. And ever since, he's leading this project, and he's the living spirit behind all of these projects. Thank you, Eli, for all of the work. So I will just go through it for the main things. In 2015, we had our first project in SUDEP, which is a program of the European Union, a small program. And we understood how important it is and how many opportunities we have in Europe. This led us to sign the Covenant of Mayors and to start working with Horizon 2020 back then. We also replaced all the lighting in Eilat to LED. Through this project, we did a couple of neighborhoods, but we understood this is something good for us, and definitely built our capacity in these projects. With the support of the Ministry of Energy and cooperation with Eilat Eilot Renewable Energy, we just finished the strategic plan to energy independence. And this paints the path to energy independence in our region. And we are really hoping to implement this program, this plan, as the climate neutral initiative. As for our work with the European Commission, we are very proud of having today 7 running projects with Horizon 2020, ENI CBC, and Horizon Europe. I will talk only about a few of these projects. One of them is MuseGrids, which it's actually finishing right now, and we are a very small partner, and all we did is to simulate the disconnecting of the tourism area in the North tourism region from the electrical grid. This taught us quite a few things, and The next project is a project called Berlin. It's much more interesting, and we actually have we are two partners in this project. Also, Eilat and also Eilot are partners in this project, and we have a budget of around 500,000 euros in order to create totally self-sustained building of two schools, one in Eilot region and one in Eilat. And this is actually now after the tender stage, and hopefully in a few months we will finish and we will have two buildings, schools, quite big buildings in Eilat and the region that will be self-sustained by renewable energy. Thank you. Our project called Leonardo is also small, but we're happy to have it because it's our only project that deals with transportation. We believe transportation is definitely one of the keys to achieving our goals, and we're going to implement micro-transportation by smart coordinates that we're going to get from this project, hopefully in the middle of next year. Our biggest project with the European Commission is called Procure, and we're going to renovate and implement new technologies in the new innovation center that we are building in the old terminal in Eilat. This is going to be very interesting because it's pre-commercial technologies. It will be the first commercial installation of the technologies, and we have quite a big budget of 1.5 million euros, and this is also in the final stages of a tender and will be implemented during 2023. We are very proud of Eilat Solar, as the mayor talked about before. It's important for me to say this is a one-stop shop. People today in Eilat can sit on the couch and get all the information they need in order to get a solar system installed on the roof. This, and we are really hoping to get funding we've asked for from the Ministry of Energy in order to make this a national, or maybe for many other local authorities in Israel. And we think it's an amazing system, and we wish it to be spread nationally and internationally. As for our climate change adaptation and mitigation plan, I am very happy, first of all, that we have Dr. Orly Ronen, which is helping us with this program and is leading it. Yeah, she deserves it. And also I'm happy and proud to have the leading team of this program. We took advantage of the proximity of Eilat to Sharm, and we were able to bring the delegation from Eilat, the leading representatives of our program, and from the environmental unit, and we also welcome you all here. So to summarize, of course we have a long way to go to climate neutrality. We have an application that we are applying to the European Union these days. The pilots, they have a call for pilots within the program of the 100 climate neutral and smart cities. I think the biggest challenge is for us to get the government and the ministries to understand this is an opportunity not just for Eilat and not just for climate change adaptation and mitigation in Eilat, but it's a national opportunity, and we have to go ahead and make Eilat a model city for Israel and maybe more than that. Thank you very much.
It's great to have my work done for me by the speakers. So Asaf already raised the banner and the challenge, asking the government what kind of role they're going to play in the regional plan. So I'm very happy to invite the government representative, Mr. Uriel Babchik, who's the head of the Renewable Energy Division. Good enough. At the Ministry of Energy to answer the call.
Thank you, Orly. Yes, I am here. And okay, that's changing. Yeah. The government is talking. Okay. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. First of all, thank you to my colleagues in the Ministry of the Regional Cooperation and to my friends and colleagues in Eilat Eilot who invited me to represent the government here and talk about, actually in this session, in this panel, that is about the role of local authorities in energy transition. We are in the Energy Day today. So I'm going to give the perspective of the government and what is the role of the government in assisting local government, local authorities in their transition to sustainable energy. So first of all, I have to say that before I represented the government, I used to work for a small city called Tel Aviv for 10 years, and I used to be the head of the Department of Sustainable Planning and Energy there. But then 3 years ago, I came to the Ministry of Energy, and I think well, you will see some traces of that experience in the presentation. So as we all know, the city's impact worldwide is on climate change is huge, and especially most of the GHG emissions come from energy consumption in cities. And while in 2007, 50% of the population of the world was, well, that was the day, the year that we surpassed 50% of the population in cities, and by 2050 it's going to be around 66% of the world's population will be living in cities. So in Israel, the situation is that 92% of the population today live in urban areas. And that process or that trend is going just to grow, and that imposes a huge problem on the energy infrastructure and distribution of energy into the cities. And cities have as we see it, they have a problem, and they create a problem by producing GHG emissions. Of course, Eilat is on the way of exiting that way, and I have to really congratulate you for the vision, Mr. Mayor, and to Asaf Admon and his team for the implementation of that vision. And I think it's really Eilat has become a lighthouse regarding in the aspect of sustainable energy. Just I need to say that not all cities are in the same position and cannot create or duplicate the situation and the solutions that you are producing, but nevertheless a lighthouse. So where are we? Yeah. So before I continue, I need to present also Israel's energy challenges, because Israel has a unique, it's unique challenges, which, as you know, Israel is an energy island, and part of this cooperations is part of breaking through this glass ceiling. We have mostly solar energy, just 97% of our of our renewables are coming from the sun and will come from the sun. We are a highly populated nation, as I said, very urbanized, and we don't have a lot of areas for land solar fields. So most of the solutions need to come in, need to be provided or delivered in cities. Yes, and besides that, of course, also Israel and all this area is one of the most vulnerable areas for climate change and rapidly getting hotter. And by the end of the century, the hot days, yes, the predictions are that there are going to be double the days of extreme heat in the area. So that's an adaptation problem, but caused by GHG emissions, of course. Now, I have to say here that 3 years ago, in the COP25, right, in Madrid, we saw there there was a report published by the Coalition for Urban Transitions that talked about climate emergency and urban opportunity. And just to summarize it, it talked about the role of government and multi-layer action in providing cities and local authorities the tools to really work towards zero emission cities. And the first, like the number one priority of the report is that we need to place cities at the heart of national strategy for net zero emissions by 2050. And so that's our way to reach zero emissions. We need to find new ways to work and tools with the local government, with the local governments. So, and what they showed in that report is that around 30% of the solutions are done independently by cities, by local authorities. Maybe in Eilat it's more like, well, 100%. And 30% are by regulation and initiatives by the government, but around a third of the solutions need to come, I think it's more in Israel, need to come by new ways and new tools and new policy steps that we need to develop in the near future. So the Ministry of Energy has a set of main policy initiatives, mainly the 30% renewable energy target by 2030, energy efficiency according to the National Efficiency Plan, and preparing for high EV penetration in the market in the next future. And what we are saying here is that most of these initiatives by the ministry meet in the local authorities. Like those solutions are not nationwide, they are local. So we need to produce solutions and build tools for the local authorities. So by 2020, we started a strategic mission in the ministry to transform local governments into main actors to achieve sustainable energy goals. So it's energy efficiency, as I said, the renewable energy targets, electric mobility, and promoting smart grid management in the future. By the end of 2021, we approved a set of government resolutions that gave support and policy steps, to support adaptation and energy transition in local authorities. That plan was about 1 billion shekels. It sounds a lot. It's around 300 million US dollars, and I will need another two. And part of that, like 30% of that budget will be allocated to local authorities, and it's going to be for, it's already happening, for capacity building and to incentivize implementation. So what we have done since 2020, first of all, together with our partners, with our colleagues in the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Interior, we first produced the guidelines for sustainable energy and adaptation action plans. So this is the how, because we need to understand in Israel, especially in the field of energy, local authorities don't have the knowledge or the capacity to really get involved in that. Israel was until lately, until a couple of years ago, a very centralized in terms of the energy sector. So first we produced with a stakeholder engagement process, talking with the mayors and professionals in cities to produce the know-how and how you produce a plan. Then we, it's in your hands, I think, then second, we created a local authorities accelerator for energy and climate adaptation action plans. So we support cities in producing and creating those plans, those action plans. So we supported until now 18 cities in Israel, local authorities, and we are going to support more than 60 by the end of 2024. And we also founded, together with the Federation Association for Local Authorities, MASHAM, the Cities Energy Forum that include all cities. In Israel also, one of the challenges is that we have a lot of cities, local authorities, around 256 for such a small country. And then moving forward, we started to, we're funding energy managers. It's a new role for in the 11 regional clusters that we have in Israel. Those regional clusters it's kind of a special unit in the Ministry of that include huge areas in Israel. That these units actually help economically, lower socioeconomical local authorities in producing economic anchors. So we are funding now 11 energy managers and actually affecting more than 100 local, small, medium local authorities. Besides that, we started a Zero Energy Cities initiative where we have 8 cities in that program together with the Israeli Green Building Association. So, of course, inspired by the Race to Zero of the United Nations Climate Challenge. Moreover, these are building capacity steps, and it's just the beginning. And besides the capacity building prospects, we are supporting implementation of projects for the urban transition to sustainable energy. We created a fund with the National Lottery Association, APAIS, National Lottery Association, a fund of $150 million. Not all of it was used yet, but it affected and helped around 200 megawatts on public buildings in around 50, 60 local authorities in Israel. Moreover, nowadays we are judging a tender that we published with $30 million, up to $30 million for also impact projects. So we intend to help cities not just to create projects of promote energy efficiency projects and solar projects on their own assets, but also support them in projects like the liberty to put here one of your pictures, Asaf, the Eilat Solar, that actually incentivize other sectors in the. We actually support the municipalities to incentivize other sectors in the municipal area to move towards sustainable energy. And there are other grants, but I think we're getting to the end. And but we have a lot of challenges, of course. We just started we created the strategic plan, and we are starting to implement it, but we have some huge challenges. And I have to say, not all the cities in Israel, like only a few are like Eilat, Tel Aviv, Kfar Saba. There are a small number of cities that have the vision and the commitment to promote to go towards sustainable energy. So this is our role, and this is our challenge as a government to actually build the capacity in cities. So this is one of the challenges that we have, because we have moved very quickly in the last 2 years helping local authorities, but I know it's not enough. We need to do more, but we need also the help of the local authorities to actually understand what they really need, because it's not just money, it's not just budgets, as we know. And the final thing is that we are promoting nowadays local authorities' options to create public-private partnerships with their economic corporations. So in order to help them participate in the as electricity providers in the future. So this is all for today, and thank you again for inviting me to talk to you.
Thank you. Don't leave. Actually, we're going to invite all the speakers again to join me here on a sort of combined Q&A panel discussion. And we're also going to invite a new addition to help us address the real challenge. How do we create regional collaboration? Because we saw an array of excellent examples how to tackle the climate crisis from a local perspective. But how do we kick it up to a regional perspective? And in this, I'd like to ask Dr. Tarek Abu Hamid to join us here to help us think together. How do we expand all this experience? How do we expand it to really leverage our region? I mean, your region. So join me, please. And everybody, yeah. So first of all, I'd like to reintroduce again our distinguished participants, but first, Dr. Tarek Abu Hamid, who is the head of the Arava Institute, and yeah, I know, former deputy head scientist of the Ministry of Science. See, I got it. So I'd like to first put on the table our main challenge. We talked a lot about what can we do, but what do we need to do, in your opinion, to turn the table, to make sure that, not to make sure, to actually instigate a regional collaboration? What are we missing? What do we need to add? We saw the government, we saw the local government, we saw academia. What do we need to do, in your opinion?
It's very simple: to connect between people, not to build walls, to use the science, to use environment, to use the research, to bring people together. It's science diplomacy, it's environmental diplomacy that builds understanding of the region, that helps all of us to build the trust. And this is what we do in the Eilat region, through the Eilat Renewable Energy Initiative, the DTC Arava Science Center, the Arava Institute, the Agricultural Research and Development, where we bring people from the whole region, from Israel, Palestine, Jordan, to work together to deal with the region's environmental challenges. And you cannot advance cross-border environmental cooperation without bringing people together, without doing research together, without using the global language, which is the science. So first of all, you need to bring people together to build the trust. And once you build the trust, everything becomes just a technicality. And that becomes very easy to do that.
Sounds so simple.
It's not simple, it's hard, but it's possible. And we know how to do that in Eilat.
So let's... So let's open the floor to questions, because everybody in the room is really our partner, part of the collaboration. We want to think together. What do we need to change in order to make this a viable reality? Who wants to begin? I'll call on you personally if you don't raise your hand. So. Okay, Dorit. Yeah, what do you think? Or what do you want them? I repeat the question. So what would you like to ask our distinguished panel in a way of what are the game changers? What do we need to do? How can we advance these solutions to become regional collaboration and regional solutions?
One of the things that I've been talking a lot in this conference, in many other rooms, is the distribution. That means you don't have to monopolize the grid, you don't have to monopolize the regulation, you don't have to make that everything would be under control of the energy electricity company. The regulator in Israel can easily decide about regions of energy, microgrids. These microgrids maybe can allow to do cooperation with Jordan, maybe can allow to do cooperation with Egypt. By the way, we have a transformator in the Rabin border that we can operate. It was in the peace treatment where they put transformator that we can mutual give and sell and bring energy. How to look in regional way of looking. Because right now, if the government thinks that the Israeli solar energy that is producing in our region would go to Tel Aviv, this is the wrong conception. And this would not bring for regional cooperation. We have to see how we take the energy and maybe make green hydrogen and sell the hydrogen to the port of Aqaba, for example, putting on the table. And a lot of other things that going in the Eilat city that can be mutual with Aqaba city. So we don't have any tools really to deal with infrastructure for regional development. We don't have it.
So let's go back to our panel. Tools for regional collaboration, for regional infrastructure. What's your take on it? Who wants to begin?
I can start with just giving an example of what is working. Because in our region, we've been working over 10 years with the Ministry of Regional Cooperation. And I want to say that that collaboration is not taken for granted. I think the Ministry of Regional Cooperation has been an amazing example of how to delegate and how to both support financially, but also infrastructure to local authorities by the way they distribute their funding and their collaboration. So I think that's should be a role model for a lot of different ministries and this collaboration between the local and the national. But infrastructure is key. And I think everybody, I don't know, but people in the room here, an important thing to know about how we work is, on one hand, we need the government. We need G to G when it comes to our regional partners. On the other hand, we are very successful when we do things under the radar, unofficially. But then we always reach a limitation when it comes to infrastructure. So it's a game here. It's a give and take to how far we can go. But eventually, if we have, like we had so far, excellent collaboration with the government, if hopefully this will continue, then it could work. But it's using those local expertise with the policies, and they can't go separately. And there are good models of that happening.
So, for instance, expanding the government funding to projects that are transboundary, is that an option?
Well, I think that we need to look at all options, and I know that Dorit and the ministry and don't look eye to eye maybe on all subjects, but I think that we are also limited in terms of regulation and reforming the electricity field, but it can change in the future, and we need to keep an open mind as the regulator. and as a co-partner to the regulator, which is the electricity authority. So this is the thing. But I just forgot to say before that yes, we need, of course, to look on the regional aspect, and I think that we had deliberation in last year regarding a government resolution regarding Eilat, and maybe with the new government now we can start to think about it again and see also and include regional cooperation with Aqaba, and I think it's a good idea.
Tarek, what do you think about this plan that's being kind of materialized right here?
Look, I think the major role of the governments is to design the right policies to support the science in municipalities, in regional councils. Once you do that, you keep the scientists in the region, and then the scientists in the region, in rural areas, will help you, will use the science to design policies. So policy for science, science for policy. And when you have a critical mass in rural areas, I'm saying by purpose rural areas because if you look to the Jordanian-Israeli border, all the cities, original councils on both sides are rural areas, also in the West Bank and parts of the West Bank and Israel. And you have to keep the high quality people in these areas to keep the science running, to deal with the region's environmental challenges, the real environmental challenges. I'm giving the Jordan-Israel example because in Aqaba, in the Arava Valley, the aquifer is shared. Dorit mentioned the Red Med pipeline, and I hope it doesn't happen at all, but we have a pipeline right now there, and we know what happened in 2015. We managed to control that, but if it managed to infiltrate into the aquifer, the pollution won't stay in the Israeli borders. It will impact Jordan. And the scientists who dealt with these projects were the scientists from the region, from the Ditzia Araba Science Center.
So we're almost at the end of our panel, so I won't be able to expand on that. But I had a special request from the government representative who wants to challenge the local governments. Okay, just ask.
Not challenge, but I had a question. I have a question for you, Mr. Mayor. It was talked at the beginning of the panel. We were talking about leadership. So my question to you is, as a leader in this field of sustainable energy among mayors, what can you do to bring in more mayors in Israel and really promote the issue and your vision for Eilat, and to become not special, and to become that Eilat and to Eilat become not special. So all cities are like yours, or similar. To become not special. Yes, like in the aspect of sustainable energy.
First, we are actually doing it. You know, we have a special program that Asaf and Elad are leading with other cities in Israel. Look, our advantage is that we can be as a city, especially small cities like Eilat, more flexible. And what we have to do is to convince our colleagues, the other mayors, that they can do it also. And we give them everything they can succeed like us, you know. Eilat has, you know, has a clear relative advantage in solar, in producing solar energy. But in other fields that Eilat has, that we are leading, we of course can cooperate and collaborate with other cities. I will do my utmost to share our programs and plans with my colleagues I will do it.
I would
אתה רוצה
like
לענות?
to address that too. Maybe Hanan.
I want to add, Hanan Ginat, I'm the mayor of Hevel Elot, the near region to Elat, and I think what we can import in Israel is the cooperation between the rural area and the city. And the model that we developed, or redeveloped, and we are working with is the correct way to do it. Because we are sitting in a big area, not every rural area is like Hevel Elot in its size, but still it can work, and I think this can be the solution.
And I'll add to
And
that.
I want to say the
She'll
Iskat
add
Havilai, they were very humbled. They didn't ask for nothing, the two mayors. You need to ask. If Elat would be the lab of Israel, Elat and Hevel Elot, and we get the resources for that, and we wish to be the lab of Israel, not only in the microgrids, in other all the what Asaf is doing and all the research Tarek is doing and what Rina is doing, everybody is doing here, and we have wonderful initiatives that we are doing that very unique. And if you want us to be in the front and bring all the municipalities with us, give us the credit for that, give us the money for that, and we are on board.
She took the words out of my mouth, not necessarily funding and credit, but status. Maybe we should create a status for leading city, lighthouse cities. And that will enable the cities, or will create an incentive for cities, Eilat in this, or other cities in other areas. So if you create a status that designates the city as a lighthouse city, and then we'll be able to discuss what kind of privilege they get. That's another panel. So just to that's what I wanted to ask. So in conclusion, first of all, you have a lot of things to relate to, and also, what are your next steps going to be?
First of all, can you hear me? Okay, so, whoop. First of all, thank you, Ariel, for this question. I wouldn't know how you say Haramala and Chata in English, so that would be. So definitely we see ourselves as a lighthouse, and I agree with Orly. There are also other cities, but something on the way between the central government and the local government, there's something that doesn't work, like in using the local government in order to spread the word. It depends. Everywhere has this strengths, and we can really use that. I think it's a very good idea. And we are also 100% transparent. We always talk to the cities. We always travel all the way to Tel Aviv or Jerusalem and talk to other cities and say what we know, and try to spread the word of what we do, and try and help. And that with everything. In the EU work, the Horizon, everyone asks me, how do you do that? So I answer, and I say what I think is the best way to do, what the things to do, and I talked about it in many webinars in the last few years and conferences, and I think just have to listen, and I agree. The central government has a role in this. We look at Uriel as if he's all the government, but we have so many representatives that are not here, and we have to talk to them. That's one of our challenges. I also want to go back to what Tarek said and about people to people in the region. I think the fact that we had visitors here from the Asiza, from the government in Aqaba, it's not obvious, and I think it's a matter of people. We have, in the last few months, conversations and meetings, not as much as we would like, and we have Rina talking to them all the time, and WhatsApp and email, and again and again and again. It becomes something that is natural. We talk. It wasn't like that before February when we had the governor of Aqaba in Eilat. And this is things we have to work on. It doesn't come by itself, and I think it's the most important thing. I agree with Tarek in regional cooperation.
And Rina wanted to add to that.
I mainly wanted to add that since we're sitting here in the COP, and many of us go back and people ask us, what really happened here? What are the results on the ground? Because one of the most researched topics in environmental policy are the problems of implementation. So I want to just re-emphasize the importance of our regional, our local authorities in implementation. Because I think that's one takeaway for me, or one of the most important, both the regional cooperation and this local authorities and their key location, because implementation is not easy. And in all that's what we analyze in the academic research, is why does it constantly fail? We make these amazing agreements, leaders are sitting together, but we don't see things on the ground. And here we have an opportunity to support the local authorities to go back to where we come from and find these ways for both calling our authorities to be proactive, like in our case, but also bring up our own projects and have our authorities adopt them. And in our case of transboundary cooperation, I also think that local authorities are key because of, again, being that bridge between the people and the government and allowing implementation to happen on the ground. So thank you for being role models for that, both for the our local governance, for the Ministry of Regional Cooperation, and for us sitting here because we care about it, and that's what's going to make it happen. So thank you.
So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Eli, the mayor of Eilat, and thank you, Muna, from the ministry, and thanks all of you. And I think that in conclusion, replicating, scaling up, that's definitely the plan that we drew together tonight. And hopefully we'll be able to convene next year. I don't know what the exact results of the COP are going to be, but at least, hopefully, we'll have something demonstrable, viable to show for the region of the Red Sea and the Red Sea Bay. Thank you.